Welcome to part 13 of my irregular series of making a locomotive for trains using the Gmax 3D modelling program. And this is as far as I got when I finished section 12, and I have made one alteration since that, and that is I've darkened the texture for the lining out, because I felt it was just a bit too bright and it will appear very bright in trains, so I wanted to just darken that. So that's all I've done outside of the Gmax program. And I've got the two parts of the footplate here highlighted. You remember there's this curious raised front part to the footplate, so I'm just going to complete that. So I'm going to hide the unselected ones, and going into wireframe side on view, what I need to do is just make sure I've got that one selected, and I'm going to move those points back into position like so. And then in wireframe I just want to make sure that the faces, the end faces that butt against each other, that I delete those, take that one out, and select this one and spin it around and delete that one. And then I can attach the two together and select the relevant vertices, and then I can weld them together. That's a bit too large, the area which would of vertices that would join. So there we are. I should do that. Yes, there we are. They are joined up. And I'm going to immediately texture this. Let's go back to smooth and highlights. You notice I've got texture correction on. I'm going to texture this. Where's my frames? There we are. I'm going to texture this so that it is beginning to look a bit more like it should. So I'll reduce that down, and actually I'm going to take it over into here, just to give it a bit of variation over the surface, just so that it's not a uniform grey. And now I'm going to collapse all of that because there were a couple of splines, and let's see the rest of the locomotive. Okay, yeah, we're coming on. And for this session what I'm going to do is make the front pony bogey, and that pivots back almost behind the leading set of driving wheels. And I'm just looking at the photograph as well that I have to make sure that I more or less know what area is the area that I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that revealed, and I know it's correct position, a correct texture. And let's just have a look at it here and pull back, make sure the texture correction is on. Okay, and I'm just going to work from this side view, I think, to get my size of components. And what I have done is made an additional texture. In fact, what I've done is I've lifted it from a previous model, and it's going to be called horn blocks, horn block in singular. And let's just find it. Glass houses. Ah yes, well that's another little project I've got going on at the moment, which will be released in due course. B&L number 5 horn block. Okay, now for this what I want to do is first of all I'm going to create this piece, and then I'm going to make the wheels, solid wheels by the looks of it. And just for making this, the actual truck itself, I'm just going to use a box. Very simple. I need to go back to, let me see how far back it pivots, about there. So if I take it there, not worried about the other dimension of it at the moment, the third dimension. What I do want though is to make sure that I've got it divided. And then I'm going to move it up and convert it into a poly and move those vertices to the point where the change takes place. Okay, and move the whole thing back down. Still, I'm not worried about the other coordinate yet. I just want to get this side coordinate correct, make sure it's in the y-axis, and bring it up. There we are. But of course we'll see if I go here into the 3D perspective view that it's obviously too narrow, but it's just a great big block at the moment. So my next step is to make the wheels. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out of the way, but it's coming back soon. So I'm going to start as I've done before with a cylinder and see if I can get a reasonable size. What's that? It's a 1 foot radius. That looks suspiciously like what it should be. So I'll just take that along and then make sure it's 1 foot up, so it's sitting on the x-axis. And I'm going to amend it. I don't need all those. The 5 there, height segments mean that would be 5 layers thick, so I don't need that. The sides I'm going to push up. I think I'll push them up to 24 because it needs to look reasonably curved, even though they're all straight edges. The height, well, that's the thickness of the wheel. I'll make it 6 inches. And now what I want to do is to bring in my my gauge for the track. So we'll do a box and we'll make sure it's 3 foot long. That's our gauge. Make sure that the pivot is centered, and 1/6. Oh, that's no good, is it? It should be at 0. It doesn't, the others don't matter, but that gives us our 0 mark. Let's just have a look up here. Yeah. In fact, what we'll do is we'll take it down in the y-axis. There's our axis here. Well, the pivot point is on the edge there because it extruded that way. So I can actually position it without changing the pivot point. I can position that to 1/6, and it's correct. And then I can adjust. No, it's not correct because the rail is here, and we need to have. No, that is correct because the flange sits inside. Of course it is. Dearie me. So now we do the flange, and sort of faffed about with this the last time I was doing it. Just thinking here what I need to do. Well, I think what I'm going to do is use the tube. So let's just make a tube, and we don't need all those. See, that's all those segments. See the thickness of the tube. The default, or the one that's set here, is height segments. So that's 5 times the number of vertices that you need. So just take that down. You can see that. Just take it down. So it's just vertices at the beginning and end. So we don't need all those height segments in the tube. So that's why I've deleted that. But I'm going to take it up to 24 sides, the same as this one, yes, same as the cylinder, so these two are the same. And then this one is a foot in diameter, so I'm going to make the internal diameter of the tube, I'm going to make it a foot, and the outer diameter I'm going to make it, where are we? Oh, I just picked up the plane by mistake. We're going to make that 1 inch flange, maybe 1.5 inches, a little bit, but it's probably a bit bigger than the prototype, but it doesn't really matter because it's the effect that's important. And now I'm going to align it X, Y, Z, which puts it in the wrong place, but it is exactly aligned over it. So the inner section of the tube is now in the correct position with regard to the wheel. So I muck about and move it, and if I move it this way, come on, where are we going? Is it Y? Yeah, no, but I've got it positioned this way, and the width needs to be really quite small, the thickness of it, so we just take that down to 0. 1 is probably the maximum I'm going to do that. And it's a radius of 1.15, and now I'm going to try and remember what I'm doing here. Yes, I remember now. On the tube, what I'm trying to create, I'm going to convert that to a poly in the top down view here. I always forget how to do this, I do it all the time. So what we need to do is pick up all of those and come down here, wireframe, and then deselect the inner ones. I'm just holding down the alternate button on the keyboard while I do this. I did in fact discover the other day a quick keyboard trick, which I finally discovered after about, I don't know how many years, what is it, 10 years of making these, and it was the one I was complaining about with not being able to use the clone button, or always having to use the clone button, not being able to use the copy okay, the copy button, Control D. I'm going to weld those together, make sure that the welding limit is very small. Yeah, I think that's okay now. And then the other aspect I want to do is to make a cylinder. Let's do it on 24 and 1 foot 1.5 inches. The reason for this you'll see. So that makes the back of the wheel. That's going to make the back of the wheel. Reduce that to a poly. Remove all of the vertices apart from the back. Okay. And then this one, I need to go in. Down here in perspective view. Let's have a look here. So I'm going to move this one out of the way. And actually the only face that I want here is that front curved face. So I could probably do this a bit quicker another way, but I'm just going to be very pedantic and do it this way. What I'm going to do is pick up all the polys that I want to keep. So swing that round. Disappeared. I'll come back. And pick these ones up. Here we are. And I'm going to select invert, delete all the others. So I'm just left with that piece, which I'm going to go back up to the top down view and move it over to the I'm going to rotate with the there, zoom in, make sure we're spot on, or as close as we can get. That looks good. Let's come around this way, select wheel, cylinder, make it medical poly, delete the back, and I'm pretty sure I've gone around the wheel for a shortcut here, but at least you'll see what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to bring this in tight now. That's going to be the back of the wheel because it's a solid wheel. And now my final move is to clone this, and the way to clone it without having to go up here is select the item, hold down the shift key and drag it. I don't know how many years I've been looking to do that. Mind you, I probably did discover it and then forgot about it, so that's pretty normal. Let's have a look at it in perspective. Yeah. So I'm going to delete the front, just leaving the surface, the tire of the wheel that runs on the rail, and I'm going to give it a slightly different colour, and I'm going to position it back with the one that I cloned it from. Then I'm going to pick up the one that I cloned it from, select the front, edit, select invert, delete, and that now gives me the sort of composite of the wheel. And you'll see why I've messed about like this, because what I'm going to do now is texture it, and the first thing I'm going to do is texture the front, frames, and make it quite dark. And then I'm going to texture the back, and I'm going to make it black. Well, yes, I'm going to make it very close to black, that is. And then I'm going to pick up the inner edge of the flange, and I'm going to make that shiny, because that's going to rub against the rail. And I'll use a shiny version of this. Remember, there's the thing that gives it its shininess. It doesn't appear in Gmax. It's not rendered in Gmax, and the same with the tire. Well, now we have the wheel done, and the next thing to do is to pick up all the pieces, which I hope we've got. Should be 1, 2, 3. I think we're missing another one. We're missing the back here, I think. 4 now. Select those, group them together. Okay, now that's pretty straightforward, and let's just make sure So we've got the pivot and everything centered on that. And then we're going to clone it. This time I am going to use the clone button, the clone pull down, and I'm going to move it. And then I'm going to rotate it. Degrees, and I'm just going to check. Sometimes it does funny things. Yes, we somehow got an extra inch there. So let's just check it against our, yes, look, there we are, that's our gauge, 3 foot. I can lose that. And I'm going to put it in the axle, which I possibly don't need. Do I need an axle? Well, I'm going to put one in because it feels wrong without one. Let's just draw a cylinder, and I'm going to take it right away down to 6 sides, 8 sides. 6 looks ridiculous, but I'm going to make the radius really quite small, and we'll center it, and we'll make it. Let's make it 3 foot long, and to center the pivot and position it. There we are. The reason why is because this might well conceal the whole thing. And now I'm going to bring this back and correct its shape. I've only got the profile right at the moment, so let's go into here and position our here. Yeah, I'm not going to need the axle because it actually extends beyond the wheel. In fact, what I'm going to do, because it does extend beyond the wheel, it's actually a frame. This should stand out and go back to, I'm going to reduce this dimension down considerably. Let's just see where we are here. 2 foot 1. I think it needs to come down to 2 feet. Let's try that. That's maybe too much. It's ½ inch over the 2 foot. And then I'm going to make this just 1 inch thick. 2 foot 1.5. That's too small. I need a little bit more massive than that to give it credibility, I think, as much as anything. So let's just pick up those vertices and move it out to 2 foot 3. There we are. I think that's a bit better. And now what I'm going to do is center. Okay, and I'm going to clone it. Okay, 2 foot. Whatever that was, what was that? No, 2175. Of course it was. It's in the middle. 1.75. Bring it in, and now I need to just check with our photograph, and I think that those end pieces need to come in to about 1 foot to give the impression of the bogey coming in. Okay, so those are 1 inch wide, and that's okay, not too tight. Good. And now a box. Trying to bring in. Like 2 inches on the drawing. 5 inches. And let's go up to this one here. And adjust our box, make a different poly, raise the vertices, form the front of the bogey. Let's just look at that a bit closely. Let's go up higher. And these need to come in on the x-axis. Of course, what I've done there is I've created a box because I did one before. So I'm just going to delete that again. And it's because I left the setting of the width segments at 2, so I'm going to reduce that to 1 rather than mess about. It's quicker to redo it than it is to try and amend what you've done. So again, like I say, you got warts and all. Okay, I'm going to do that to 2. 2.5 is too much. And you do get a warts and all version of this making. And now front view. And we just raise the whole thing up. Make sure that's in position there. And our box to poly vertices, and now I'll pick them all up. That's very good. Now we just take them up to the top there. Make sure we're right. Okay, and now bring those in. Let's have a look. 23008. That tends to suggest that that isn't correct. That's positioned okay. That's not right. Is it this? Make sure that's centered. 16875. 16875. Okay, we're going to go with that. Not no point in messing about. And I suppose just for completeness, what I need to do is bring a box. I'll just clone it using my caps key. Hold down the caps key and just move it. Right, and I need to reduce that height. So go up to vertices, Y, that position. And I can just put that in. .75, 10.763, apply, and these lower ones need adjustments. one. Okay, so let's have a look down on it. Now I'm just going to make the whole thing, just join the whole thing up. And the way I'm going to do that is by editing vertices fairly loosely. Yeah, see, I didn't need to do that first position as well. So by doing this, I'm just going to make up an open frame, and fairly loose, but I think it'll join up okay. This is all we want. I'll do the same at the front. Just like moving this forward. And this one. And once I've completed this, it's worth spending the time because you're going to end up with something that's going to look a bit more like, I realise I do need to have the axle in. It's not concealed. I thought it was going to be concealed by this, but it's not. So I'll just recreate the axle, which was an 8-sided cylinder, and I go to a radius of 3 inches, which is adequate. And I'll just flip it. Where are we? Flip it 90 degrees and position it and make it 3 foot long. Center the pivot, move it to the 0 position, and then I can look at it in wireframe and delete the unnecessary, the concealed polys that will be hidden by the wheel. So let's just do that. Poly. Okay, and then I'm just going to texture that in to the black. Okay, now I'm going to just tidy this up. I'm going to do it in wireframe because I'm going to delete the unnecessary polys where they face onto the, or where they're facing into the other part of the frame that makes this frame that we've made, that makes up the bogey. And now we're on to this one. Take these out, and I think you can see where I'm going. I'm going to end up attaching these four pieces together, give me a single piece, which is going to be the body of the bogey. Now you need to take away these polygons, these faces here, because if you try and attach them to another one, the vertices won't weld together, because it's as if the vertex has got the 2 or 3 handles to it, which are going to be facing against the 3 odd handles of the next one. Try doing it and you'll see what I mean. It's much more useful than my wittering nonsense. So I'm going to select all of those where there are junctions joining them up, and I'm going to use my reduce the value right down, and you can see that some have disappeared. They're just hidden now because I've clicked it again and they're all done. Okay, so let's have a look at that in the smooth and highlights. Okay, rather unpleasant colour. This is even worse, but at least it's pretty obvious. And we've got all of our, and let's give it a basic bit of texturing. I like to just dump all this into one basic texture. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it entirely black, because most of the faces, all the inside faces, want to be black, and I'm going to pick up the external faces only. Select all of those. Let's get that way. This and this, and maybe pick them all up. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and let's planar map that. Let's have a look, see if it really is planar mapping here. And I think I'll take that down into this. And just make sure we have picked them all up, although that yellow bounding box there indicates that we have. Okay, so we're slowly getting there. Now what do we need to do? Well, you see there's no actual axle going right the way through there. I've just left the axle there. So now we need to create something that looks like the horn blocks. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit of cheating here. I'm going to make it up out of blocks. I'm just looking there and I think there's a curve. Can't see it very clearly on the photograph, or not very clearly on the plan, but I'm going to go with this. So my next step is to go over to here, and I suppose what I need to do is get this out of the way, so let's just group it for the moment and move it in the over. And I'm going to create this. You can get into all sorts of fiddling designs and bits and pieces with this sort of thing, and you've got to be you've got to go with the flow. Basically, you've got to allow yourself to not go crazy with the detail, because you will end up over detailing it. And although it would be a very, very good model indeed, just checking up on it will it may not run very well, because the detail is so great that trains, however good your graphics card, trains will have a problem handling it and drawing it in motion, and that's never really going to help you. And what I'm doing here is just making this up as a series of boxes, and I'm hoping that together they're going to create the impression. And over here I'm just making odd amounts seem to be a bit more logical, so 2.5 and 1.3 and so on. And now another little box I'm going to stick in there. Okay, and we'll go for 1.75, 2.5, I think it's about right, yeah, it doesn't need to be, and 4.5. I don't think it makes a heap of the difference that they're to such dimensions. It's just what you think is correct, if you can judge it from your plans. I want this centered. Yeah, and I'm going to bring all of these forward. Okay, so a bit of tidying up to do. First of all, on this box, let's reduce it to a poly. One poly parrot. Yes, so now I'm going to just center that. So we've got a slight lip there. I've left the space there deliberately, I think. Yes, I have. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually slightly increase that. Just arbitrarily on the y-axis. Just for the look of it. And I just want to raise this. So, okay, so now I'm going to, I think I can tidy up. I can lose some polys here. First of all, I can lose the back of that poly in there. I suspect I can also, don't need to move those forward. Yeah, this one, let's go inside first, this one and this one. Actually move those back. Okay, which means I can lose another poly. Lose that one there. Bottom. There we go. Check my frame, make sure I get the right one. That's the one. And I can lose another one. I can lose there. I can lose poly on that one. Okay, so it doesn't look very amazing, but we're now going to do a bit of texturing. And the first one I want to bring in is the horn block. So you can see straight away I've got some detail, and let's just edit that, and I'm going to pick up the whole thing and put it in the middle there, and then I'm going to select this face and planar map it, and on this I'll try out the horn block first. Not that I'm going to use the horn block every kind of term. I'm going to bring the whole thing, first I'm going to bring the whole thing in, and then it's just the face that I want to edit, so I'm going to planar map that, use the others, I'm sort of thinking that this detail here looks good for this. Let's bring it down. And I think what I need to do is just shrink it in a bit. If you can reuse textures, it saves so much. I think it's probably a bit wide, but I'll come back to that. And now let's just use our ordinary frames to give us some variety. And bring that in. And then find the bottom one. Okay. Put that back and make it quite dark. Okay. Is that the same as that one? Did I do that one? Yes. So a bit of variation. And then we'll group those together. And I'm going to move it in the y-axis. I'm going to move it in the x-axis. That's the way. Bring our bogey back to position. And now we just need to go up. Make sure this group pivot is centered, and I'm going to then position it using the axle. And by texturing the side of the bogey like that, you allow the detail to be demonstrated. And the only other thing there is some more detail that I could add, but again, as I say, you tend to end up adding stuff which you don't really need. And that's a good position. There's also rivets along here on the plan. I'm not going to start rivet counting and putting those in. Now what that does mean is that if I go into wireframe, there's a number of polys in that group I can now lose. So let's ungroup it. Click away, and on the back of the horn block piece I can lose a poly there. Save all your polys as many as you possibly can. There's a piece there. And already lost the back of that one, so I can use the back of this one as well. There we go. So it's just saved 3 polys, just a bit, but you never know. Now I'm going to have to adjust that when I see the whole lot back in with the main model when I reveal it and unhide it. And group that, make sure I've got that centered, and then hold down the shift key, one way, oh, for goodness sake. There you go. 180 degrees. Let's see the position on this one. 28042 minus 2, 8.042. And let's have a look at it, see if it's okay. Yeah, that looks okay. And let's see how it looks. I'm going to group the whole thing. And then let's bring in what we've done so far. Ah, we're getting there now. It's beginning to look like a Bayer peacock. And so my next step is I've got to improve this here. That's wrong. And I've got to bring in some detail, buffer detail, and actually I should bring in some frames as well, shouldn't I? So that'll be the next stage. That'll be in part 14, but I'm going to leave it like that for the moment. So I think that's enough at the moment. I haven't animated the front bogey yet, but I will do, and then it's going to pivot at the back here. Some things I can see which are clearly wrong straight away is that it looks to me like the cylinders, I mean the cylinders are fouling the wheels. So that's going to need a major operation to get that right. So let's bring that forward and have a look at what's happening here. My wheels are too thick. These wheels, yeah, they're too wide. So I'll need to alter that. But that's where we'll pick it up next time. And so I'm going to save that. And 2.1 and save as 2.2. Where are we? There we are, 2.2. That's the save. And so I need to adjust that and adjust the running plate, footplate, whatever it is. And then go on and make some of those other items. So that will be in part 14. So I hope this part has been of use to you. You can see all of the messing about that I've done, all the mistakes, etc. So if you've enjoyed the video, please leave a comment, please give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe, because subscribing to my channel means that you boost my confidence in making more of these. You encourage me to make more of these, and there's no commitment on your part, there's no emails, there's no messages or anything like that. You set it in whichever way you like. So there we are, that's the end of part 13.